Hello, what are you doing? Hello, fellow builders, and welcome back to the bench. I'm the mediocre modeler. And if this isn't your first time here, then you know the saying around here is, go build something. And the thing about that is, once you build it, you gotta put it somewhere. And I've been building and putting for a long time. But since we moved from the old space to the new space, I'm able to unbox some stuff that I had to box away a long time ago, before the Mediocre Modeler channel even existed. So now it's kind of like a little adventure going back and looking at some of those old models. So we're going to do, maybe have to do a little bit of building, but this is kind of infrastructure and display, which is all a part of the whole process. So what are we going to be doing? Well, you see that case right there? Well, the hint of what this is right there. That is the Battlestar Galactica, the 1978 Battlestar Galactica. And I always had this vision. So whenever they talked about the fleet, there were 220 ships in that fleet, but you only really got to see a handful of those ships. You would every once in a while get a long shot of the ships, like Colonial Movers, the prison barge, the Celestra, the flat top. These ships were kind of in the forefront. And let's not forget the Valley Forge, not the Valley Forge, the aggro ship, which was the Valley Forge in Silent Running. All these ships were a part of the fleet. And they did that long perspective, so you just knew there were 220 ships. But we didn't get to see them. So that right there, that one, yeah, that right there is going to be, or I had built it a long time ago, but it is a way for me to build out some of that fleet beyond those 10, 12 ships. But it starts with the Galactica. You can't say the words Battlestar without first thinking about this classic design. Before 1978, the word battle and star were never put together, and so they meant nothing. But now, this is just a great design. I mean, there's not much else you can say. This was just a fantastic design. And it was always at the head of the fleet. So for our display, that's where we're going to put her. We're going to put her right here in the front. All right. So here we have the little, basically Cylon fueling ship, like the ones that were destroyed in the Living Legend. But at the time I built this, there weren't any kits for it. So this is scratch built from several different pieces. Like these top pieces are parts of an X-Wing fighter engine cover. That's actually one of the side rails for the Millennium Falcon. And then I do believe those are like Gundam pieces. And the nose piece is, that's why you have scratch building kits. You visualize, you try and make something. So this was my attempt at doing that. And I think it came out really well. Actually, and the engines in the back are part of the landing feet of the Millennium Falcon. So you got that. The other thing I was always trying to do with this was make sure I had ships in different heights. If you remember in that shot, all the different ships were on different planes. So that's what we were trying to accomplish here. You got the mineral ship, which this one was made from, these are actually Enterprise, the movie Enterprise resin kits. I cast these out to be the 3 domes. These are tank, like spindles from tanks These are actually the seat pedestals from the Galileo model, and these are shock absorbers from, I do believe, the Bigfoot truck. But since it has 4 feet, this one went down there. And I do believe in the fleet shot, it was below like that. Gemini freighter. Ooh, Gemini freighter. Had I been smart, I'd have done this with all of them. Maybe I couldn't at the time, but I put the model with the stand so that I knew which went with this, which with which. So here's a larger cargo ship. Transmission. No, that's an entire engine. The head of that is made from pieces of the Millennium Falcon, as well as the side pieces, and then just scrap styrene, ribbed styrene, and then you got the back piece that is part of an X-wing for the exhaust port. And I think, I can't remember what these side pieces are, but it works well. I do believe. Put you right like that. Yeah, there you go. We always talk about not crossing the streams, but I wanted to have a little bit of fun with my fleet. So I wanted to add a couple of pieces in there that would not have been in there. Arguably my favorite, no, not arguably, this is my favorite Enterprise. The Enterprise E, and I think this was the stand for that guy. I'm hoping, yeah, yep. Can you imagine how well the Galactica fleet would have been with the support of the Enterprise? Okay, so as is the case with storing models, sometimes they don't survive. But with a little bit of glue, we can get this guy back together and back in the fleet. This guy, so this is an old Romulan warbird wings, a AT-AT head, and then the body are pieces from the International Space Station. I'm gonna have to get you glued. There was a show back in the day called Space Academy, and I wanted to have some kind of a homage to that, and this was my attempt at that. These are all pieces of the International Space Station, as well as a engine pod constructed of various bits and bobs. And I even put a small, I don't know where I got this from, but I had a little resin Galactica flight pod. So that's where their shuttles would come in and out. But basically they captured an asteroid. In my version, this isn't supposed to be Space Academy, but my idea for this was they captured an asteroid. And they're using the resources on the asteroid to propel themselves across space. I'm going to dig some more of these out. But in the meantime, I worked on something else as well. Also Battlestar Galactica related. Why don't you check that out? As a fan of sci-fi, I'm sure you, like me, imagine yourself traveling through space. But just being there isn't enough. How you're traveling through space is kind of the thing. So, depending on what you get into what's your favorite starfighter, what's your favorite transport, What's your favorite ship that you would kind of travel and live on? Mine would probably be the Millennium Falcon, or some, it's like the right size. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe I want something a little bit bigger, that I would have that ship, and then I have another ship that I could go off and do some other things with. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about capital ships. We're talking about the kind of ships that could take on an enemy. We're talking about a ship. We're talking about the Beast. In the episode The Living Legend, we find out the Pegasus also survived the attack on the 12 colonies. So for 1978, due to budget restrictions and blah, 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 all the Battlestars look the same. But in the reimagined, you get the Beast. This thing is so fantastic in design. If you find yourself traveling through the galaxy, whether it be through known space or unknown space, you can go in looking like a predator, or you can go in looking like prey. Me personally, I want to go in looking like a predator. For instance, as much as I love Star Trek The Next Generation, when I saw the Enterprise E, it looked a little bit... It didn't look menacing. Not that the original Enterprise did look menacing, but its task was science and exploration. So it didn't have the punch that it needed to. And it took the Borg to be able to get them to where we need to be prepared. And that's kind of where I feel the Pegasus fills that bill. The Pegasus is a Mercury-class battlestar. Maximum crew complement is 2,500. Maximum length is 1,790 meters long. Armaments include 30 twin turbos, 4 fixed twin mounted, those are the ones that face front right underneath the chin there. It's got numerous point defense cannons, 4 flight decks, which include 74 Viper launch bays, 6 Raptor launch bays. The Pegasus carries 200 Vipers on hand with 100 in reserve, as opposed to the Galactica, which only has 80 Vipers with 20 on reserve. The biggest difference between the two, the Pegasus has a Viper construction facility on it. That, in and of itself, is a game changer. So that we can have a little bit of perspective, we're going to compare it to an Imperial Star Destroyer, both 1 and 2. So the Star Destroyer is only 1,600 meters long. A Star Destroyer 1 has 48 fighters, and a 2 has 72 fighters, 12 bombers, and 12 boarding craft. You could argue that the Star Destroyer has shields and a tractor beam, but that would be like trying to hold on to an angry swarm of wasps with nukes. Okay, to be fair, it's always going to be a little bit difficult to say who would win in a battle, because we're not talking about equal energy powers across the different sci-fi genres or whatever. I mean, who's to say? And it's always going to be biased by who's your favorite. You want your guy to, whoever your favorite of that battle to be, to win. So all we can do is speculate. But for the time being, this is where the Pegasus is going to live. It's going to be here with its buddy, the Galactica. I'm still working on the whole pudding part, figuring out how I'm going to display it. I've got my height and everything. But this is where she's going to live. With that, back to the fleet. And here we have it. You've got the Galactica, mineral ship, the presidential ship below it there, colonial movers. We've got our Cylon ship with behind it you can see the prison barge, I think this one is the new Gemini. I'm not sure what this one with the 3 engines, that was on from the new Galactica. We've got our freighter. We've got our bigger freighter. Down there in the, you can see, where you go. Yeah, you can see there's a Star Wars ship down there. There's another ship here. This was like a park type ship that like a long beam. There's our Space Academy Gemini freighter. Aggro ship back there in the background. There's another little freighter there. We got Babylon 5. We got some Ferengi. We've got the Rising Star. I think she's right there. I think that was some kind of Klingon freighter. And here in the back, we've got the Enterprise E and the Blockade Runner. There's still room for more. But for now, here's our fleet. Well, that's a pretty good looking display if I say so myself. Now there are 22 models in there, and there's room for more. The back is wood, so I could actually make mounts that come out from the back forward, with like a 90, and then set a ship on top of it. But for now, I think we're gonna let that ride. You don't want to go too over full. But that means we've come full circle. We're right back to go build something. I mean, that's what it's all about, We're get out there, move your mind, create some things, get it up on the shelf, start all over again. What are you building? What are you gonna build? I know it's the Christmas holiday. This is about the time that I stop buying things and just kind of hold off, because you never know what's going to come in, what Santa's going to bring you, or But I've got plenty. I've got plenty of bottles to build. So until next time, have fun, be safe, and go build something. Hey, let me know what you build. Send a picture. I'd love to see it. See ya. Pew 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 pew.